This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh, look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream. On Sundays. Hope you're all doing well this morning, this Super Bowl morning. Oh my gosh, I could not care less, but that's just me. No offense to anyone who does love the sport or the event. I'm just in it for the advertisements for things that'll probably be only, half fulfilling of their actual promise. Just like my life. And scene. Hope you're all doing well this morning. I came across this the other day and thought to myself, gosh, when was the last time I looked at something medical related that didn't have to do with the current circumstance to avoid any algorithmic red flags? Advancing anti-racist transformation in medical education, an interview. So before I get into anything else, let me say hello to those of you who are joining me on this morning, Sunday morning. Somnambular Nation, Sad Kitty, Noah Asensio, Mike R, Tall Person, Bridget, Ken Elliott, let's see who else, Arc 210, Mike Savage, Ebony Williams, Jaeger Pony, and Johnny Hellcat. Good morning to you all. So as a baseline understanding of what anti-racism is, and as I have repeated multiple times now, this comes straight from the author of the book on the subject, How to Be Anti-Racist, Ibram X. Kendi. Okay, so here are the core tenets of anti-racism. First and foremost, racism and race as a concept permeates every aspect of our lives and is inherent to every person. There is no such thing as being not racist. Okay. If you declare yourself to be not racist, you are living in denial. If you declare yourself to be anti-racist, you are performing confession. And I'm not making that up. That is not, I'm in fact only slightly paraphrasing by putting it all very succinctly like that. If you do not believe me, look up the TEDx talk with Ibram X. Kendi and listen through about the first 6 minutes or so. And the interviewers of Ibram X. Kendi eventually get him to simplify the concept after 2 attempts and walls of words coming at them. So, with that understanding, think of that concept and now sort of transmogrify that into the world of medical education, even though I've never really had medical education outside of CPR class or something. What could possibly be the application to medical education of a belief that everything in our lives and every person is infected with racism? I have a couple of theories on what we might hear. I haven't listened to this before. I've heard different arguments along these lines previously. But we'll find out together from our esteemed professionals. Yes. Let's see. For the Win Nil, and Non-Vitae Rex, No Name, Psionic Dreams. And I think if I missed a hello or a acknowledgement, I apologize. But we have a lot to cover today. This clocks in at just over 17 minutes, so a little bit longer than your average TEDx talk. And I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
Hello, my name is Christine DiCarlo.
Hi, Christine DiCarlo. And this is from the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. Osteopathic. Is that has something to do with bones, doesn't it? Ossus. I don't know. I'm a layman. I don't know much about anything. Mark R says, sounds good. Some emulation says, sounds dandy. And For the Windmill says, we can hear. Okay. Well, hello. And who are you?
and I'm the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicines, or ACOMS, Media and Public Affairs Manager.
Okay.
Joined today by Dr. Linda Grace Solis, Assistant Professor of Applied Humanities at the University of the Incarnate Word School of Osteopathic Medicine, or UIW-SOM, Chair.
Whoa, okay. That was a lot to try to absorb. I'm not going to go backwards. I'm just taking a pause for a second. It's a lot of, okay, so principles of humanities, osteopath, okay.
Of ACOMS Council on Diversity and Equity.
Oh, okay.
As well as Dr. Rebecca Sanchez, Assistant Professor of Microbiology, also at UIW-SOM.
Okay.
In addition to co-chairing UIW-SOM's own DEIJ committee, which they've named Unity, Drs. Solis and Sanchez are also leading UIW-SOM's Anti-Racist Transformation in Medical Education, or the ART in MedEd project.
The ART in MedEd, anti-racist, okay. Hadn't heard that one before. Anti-racist transition, ART, okay.
ART in MedEd is a 3-year project funded by the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation to replicate the Icahn School of Medicine and Mount Sinai's change management strategy at 11 partner medical schools in the United States and Canada. UIW-SOM is one of the inaugural schools chosen for the project's 2021 cohort and was the only osteopathic medical school selected.
Whoa, okay, and then we jump to the Zoom call. Okay. Because I'm an idiot, could somebody in the chat let me know and remind me what osteopathic means? I'm assuming something to do with bones or, skeletal health or something. But anyway, all right. So we have at least 2 credentialed professionals in their various fields about to talk to us about anti-racist transitions in medical education. So, okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Solis and Dr. Sanchez, for speaking with me today about this vitally important project.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
And just as a note, like with all Zoom call panel discussions these days, I've done my best to clean up the sound prior to this, but obviously each person's webcam is different. Each person's microphone is different. So audio will vary. And obviously, as I can already tell, video sync to audio will vary. So might be safer just listening to this than trying to watch it. But hey, what do I know? Some emulation, just for edification here. And on the off chance I missed anybody else saying this, I apologize. Osteopaths treat the whole patient, Scribelight. Well, that's a very broad category. So, all right. So it's so what you might say is that osteopathic practitioners practice holistic medicine. I don't know if I'm saying that in a joking way or if I'm being 100% serious right now.
So to begin the interview, how did you hear about this project and why did you know UIW-SOM would be a good fit?
So I heard about it first. I believe I saw an ad for it on a listserv, I think, of medical schools maybe. And so I saw it there and I thought, well, let me look a little bit more into that. So I did look into it and it seemed to align with what I knew that our dean wanted and with what I wanted as well for our diversity and equity and inclusion and justice efforts. And
well, what do you want out of those things? What is the end goal? Or I guess, as I always ask in these things, please describe the problem you are attempting to address. I guess we'll see if we get that.
And so I decided to apply, and then the application date was like 10 days away. And so I was like, it just looked like a good fit. It just looked like it aligned with our school's mission for social justice and all of that. So I just decided, even with just 10 days, just to take a shot and apply and see what happens. And then we were selected.
I wonder how many people actually applied to this, whatever it is. I'm still a little fuzzy on exactly who she is and what she's applying for or what's going on, but that just might be the speed with which we were inundated with words earlier. Okay.
Well, congratulations. That's impressive for you all to, in such a quick turnaround time, get the project grant.
Yeah, we had 10 days to apply for money and we got it. And I found it on a listserv somewhere. And like, okay, well, sounds like you worked really hard for that. Okay.
So what do you hope to accomplish over the course of this project?
Yes.
And are there any measurable goals?
Yes. Oh, okay. I love that question. What? Brett-eyed, thank you so much. Once more, you are ridiculously generous. Thank you. I hope I did that justice. Thank you so much. But that heralds my gratitude for that question, because that question from our interviewer is unambiguous. What do you hope to accomplish? What are the measurements by which you assess achievement? So tell us how you're going to go around the specificity of that question and not give us those answers. And I don't know whether she's going to say that or not, or try to run around it. I'm just guessing.
The theme, I guess, that we're taking with us, it's really the question of, what do we want our school to look like?
Yeah. What do you want your school to look like
At the end of this 3-year program? And so that's really how we've gone about, tackling this project. We'd really love for the end goal to be where, all faculty are just aware of, say, the materials that they're presenting to the learners.
The faculty are aware of the materials they're presenting to the learners. So do you currently have an issue with teachers or educators, I don't know how exactly you classify them in medical school, not being aware of the materials they're passing on to their students? How does that work exactly? I know I'm not going to get an answer, but if that's the problem you're stating, if that's the goal you hope to achieve, then I have to assume that the teachers at your institution are oblivious to what they're using to teach their students?
And to be more diverse and more inclusive.
What does that mean? What does it mean to be more diverse? What does it mean to be more inclusive?
We want our learners also to be aware of how their communication, what they're saying, affects others.
So you want your students to police their language on the chance they might affect someone else's feelings. Okay. Dare I hope for some examples of what you're talking about?
And then also we really, I think, both feel very passionate about this being the school or the place where, everyone feels heard. Everyone feels like they're heard, they're seen, they matter. And that, we're going to be able to have those hard conversations.
What constitutes a hard conversation? And I know, I'm never going to get answers to these questions. I understand this is all rhetorical, but we hear these kind of phrases and things said over and over and over again. And I always have my fingers crossed in the back of my head, which I don't have fingers in the back of my head, but that'd be kind of weird. Either way, I always hope we're going to get some specificity. What do you mean? What does a hard conversation look like in medical school on this subject? Could you give us an example?
And work through it as a group. So I think those are, very big goals.
They are very big and completely undefined goals, because you didn't tell us what you mean. The teachers to understand the materials they're passing on to the learners, like Padawan learners. Why can't you call them students? You want them to be more diverse and inclusive. What does that mean? You want to have the hard conversations. What does that mean? You want all the students to be heard and to feel like they matter and so on. Okay, well, how do you achieve that? What? How?
That's what we're, I think, striving for in the end.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that is a challenge for me personally is that the Icon School of Medicine model for art in med ed is a change management model. It's not a sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion model. It's a change model. And
I know. Could you at all possibly describe both models so that I might have some contrasting images in my mind to be able to assess what you're talking about? What is a change model? How does that compare to a DEI model?
And it really emphasizes like communications and having those hard conversations.
What hard conversations? It's just, I'm getting really sick and tired of that phrase without any backup information. What is a hard conversation? Just give me something.
At the beginning so that you create a brave space, right? Where people feel heard, like Rebecca was saying, and they feel important and valued by everyone. And so,
oh, sorry, I didn't have anything to say here. I just wanted to pause and let everybody know that Lexi Mads has entered the building. Okay.
So that's something that challenges me, is the fact that like there aren't any goals. They're up for us. The goals are all up to us and what we need at our school. And
yeah, so you were given this whatever opportunity, job, grant, etc. You didn't have to describe what your goals are, like what you intend to do with it, what your measurement for success is going to be. Is it that easy to get a grant? Like just free money, just say the right things or pretend like you know what you're talking about. I've only got 10 days to apply for this. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay. And
then the framework that the art in med ed gives us will help us reach those goals.
What goals?
So how is the work progressing so far? And have there been any early successes or challenges, either from the COVID-19 pandemic or other factors?
Okay. Interview moderator lady, I forget your name. They didn't answer your question. In no way, shape, or form did they answer your question. And I know you're probably on a schedule and this is all very loosey-goosey and not a formal interview or whatever, but really, I wish people would press to get specifics, you know, like those ladies in that Ibram X. Kendi TEDx. And I, as I've said, I think multiple times in the past, I cannot any more sing their praises than I possibly could for having done so, for having really asked the guy for an answer and done it until he gave one.
One of the early successes is just our ability to gather people, our own cohort. There's 14 of us in what we call the Guiding Coalition. And so we've been able to gather in person twice, which was wonderful. And we were able to really start having those.
Please do not say hard conversations.
Hard conversations.
Oh God, why have you forsaken me?
And we have all levels of our campus represented. So we have students, we have staff and faculty and administrators. So sort of we're all there, and we have started having those
hard conversations.
Difficult conversations.
Oh, difficult conversations. Well, thanks for switching it up a little bit.
And getting everybody on board and sort of thinking through what we want our school to look like at the end of this transformation.
Yeah, what do you want your school to look like? Could you give us some idea? Like, where is it now? And where would you like it to be? It's a very, you can give just a high level 30,000 foot perspective on the thing. Okay. You know, currently our school is like X. And through this process, we hope to transform our school into something that looks like Y. Could you give us that? What do you mean looks like?
And so I think that alone is a really quick win for us.
What's been really interesting, successful, and it has taken time, it'll take more time, but we have had these
hard conversations.
We have brought up really good questions where there's that awkward silence in the room. And
like what? Like what? Like, come on, tell me a story. I like hearing a story. I like a good narrative. Set the scene for us. You and your colleagues, you come into the room and you know each other, at least peripherally or at least by reputation. It's all very pleasant, and you put your chairs into a big circle for a kumbaya session, and you all sit down, and all the chit-chat kind of dies down, and the person in charge of leading the discussion kind of pipes up and says, all right, everyone, let's discuss, what is that? What does that look like? What does that sound like? Could you tell us?
And everybody kind of, you're nervous to say anything, but then we've slowly have, grown this trust of our group that now it takes less time for people to speak up, and people are more brave to, offer input, especially learners, right? If you think about their position with us as faculty, and then there are deans in the room. So that's been one of the, I think, biggest successes for us, and probably most shocking that we've been able to do that in the little bit of time that we have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's definitely great to hear that that's happened so early in the project. I think that's a good model, the way that's set up.
How does that compare to other attempts at this? It's good to hear that happened early. Well, okay. Is that something that is uncommon? Does it generally take a long time for a group to reach the point where they feel comfortable talking about the hard conversations? I have no way to tell whether that's remarkable or not, or if they've made some kind of stride or not compared to someone else, because I have no idea what we're talking about yet. 6.5 minutes into this, and I still have absolutely no idea what it is you are doing or what it is you're attempting to achieve.
Get that, at the front and center of it. So for the Art and Med-Ed project, it recognizes that addressing racism in medical education will require systemic change.
Yes. Okay. Well, this sounds more specific than before. All right. Well, where is the racism, and how are you addressing the systemic issue to change it?
What are some steps that colleges of osteopathic medicine can take to initiate transformational changes on their campuses?
All right. Another opportunity for some details. Will our speakers fulfill the promise of that opportunity?
I would say the first thing that you would do, which we did do in meeting one, is to really define the terms for everyone.
Yes, defining terms. Oh, please.
The group, as educators, we always say education is important,
As educators, we say education is important. Wow. It's almost self-defining, isn't it?
But what does that really even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
And so some specific, I guess, session objectives started with just defining the terms.
Okay. And now you can relay to us some of those terms and their definitions?
What language is going to matter, right? And it carries weight. And so you want to also tell people you can't be afraid to use words like anti-racist.
Oh, gosh. I mean, in that environment, my biggest fear is to use the word anti-racist. Is that seriously a problem amongst you and your colleagues? I mean, I guess it could be if they don't know what it means. Are you going to tell us what it means?
To use the word bigot.
Yes. What does the word bigot mean? Because I often hear it conflated with the concept of racism. And for those of you that don't know, and I know I'm just being a nitpicker like this, a bigotry is not the hatred of someone based on their skin color. Bigotry is the hatred of someone based on their opinions. Okay. You can be both a racist and a bigot, but you don't necessarily have to be a bigot to be a racist, and vice versa. But I hear the word bigotry used synonymously with racism all the time, and it is not correct. These are two completely different concepts. And I know, like I say, I'm just a snob like that, but I like to have words mean what they're supposed to mean. I wonder if our speaker will tell us what she thinks bigotry means.
Or to use the word white supremacy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is very difficult in the environment in which you are operating to use the word white supremacy.
Our first meeting, we defined these terms, we talked about these terms. You need to be able to comfortably, use those words.
Okay, and what did you learn from that conversation? Did you get out a dictionary and just look up the definitions? Did you make up your own? What did you conclude? Can you tell us anything?
To be able to face this, you can't just hide from that.
What?
And just that to have people on board to say, look, change has to happen. You have to have where everyone realizes, right, that it has to happen. And
why does it have to happen? I mean, maybe it does on some moral level or something, but can you describe the situation that requires redress or having it be addressed? At least, in our school, things were like this. And then we did these steps, and now they are better because they are like this. Am I really asking so much every time I listen to one of these panels? Every time I listen to professionals and experts, and I'm just looking for the information they purportedly have at their fingertips because they're doing it every day. It's part and parcel with what they are doing. And yet they never tell us what they're doing.
And I think getting that into the open is another way for that as well.
I do think a lot of the what needs to happen in our schools, or the ways other medical schools, osteopathic medical schools, can approach this, is we have that lovely mind-body-spirit connection.
The mind-body-spirit connection. By all means, tell me, how do you examine someone for their...
This is what this is. We're talking about, we want everyone on our campus to be able to bring their whole selves, to be able to...
Their whole selves? I mean, it is often the case that when I go out places, I'm just a dunderhead enough to leave my leg in the other room. Sometimes I just can't help. It's just silly me.
To bring whatever physical body they're in, no matter what they look like.
Do they have a choice? Whatever physical body they're in. What is this, altered carbon or something? Do I have a sleeve I can just jump into at any particular point? What are you talking about?
We want them to bring their, their intellect and their mind and their diverse experiences that brought them to where they are. And
what are you? Oh, good gravy!
And then with spirit, we want to.
Yeah.
We want to change hearts and minds. And
no, I get that. To what? From what? To what? What is the nature of this alchemical process you are proposing to us? What?
Sometimes you have to change hearts first before the mind comes along, right? And
okay, well, how do you do that? Tell me, give me an example. You encountered Joe, and Joe's heart was 5 sizes too small. And then through the power of anti-racist transitional stuff, his heart became 5 sizes too big. And then he died of coronary disease. I don't know. What is going on? What are you talking about?
And so I think, all of this is coming back around to use your words and define.
Use your words. That's like something you say to a toddler who's still just on the verge of being able to communicate verbally. Use your words instead of just like pointing at something and going, ah. You go, use your words. Come on.
All of this is coming back around to like use your words and define your words and don't be afraid to speak up.
Yes.
So yeah.
So yeah. Wow, gosh, how insightful. Thank you, Dr. Professor. I forget your position.
And to add to that, I was going to say, what you were saying, don't be afraid to speak up. We've really been, at least for me, I know in the classroom and with the clubs that I'm faculty advisor for, really just pushing, for the students, for everyone to just be brave enough to have those
non-committal conversations of challenge. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. Trust us, we're doctors. Yeah, I guess. I mean, they have titles and letters after their names, so I'm sure whatever they're saying in the abstract has some very, very meaningful weight to it when they're alone with one another or something.
Let's create a brave space, define that.
Yes.
And, I know a lot of learners that are in the clubs I'm associated with will, a hard topic will come up and, one will just jump up and say, this is a brave space. And
I can see it now. Some starry-eyed 20-something early career medical student in a club, and somebody brings up a hard topic, not a hot topic, mind you, but a hard topic, and they'll jump up and say, this is a brave space. Oh, goody.
And it just makes me so proud, right? Because I think people are starting to catch on. And so I think to address the systemic changes, you need to have.
Uh-oh. Am I having technical difficulties? You guys are telling me you're not hearing me? Uh-oh. What did you not hear? Or where did it cut out? Or is it just some people? Also, if you're watching me on a phone or a device, sometimes that stuff happens just as a matter of course. But I don't know. You guys tell me. His avatar has disappeared. Uh-oh. That's not good. Okay. I know only what you tell me. Let's see. Buffering only my internet. When I Scribe is silent. Now Scribe's face disappeared. His avatar has disappeared. You're fine now, Scribe. It's randomly cutting out Scribe Light. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, I'm not getting any indication on my end from StreamYard that I'm having connection problems, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because it could be a YouTube deal. So unless or until I completely drop off the face of the earth, I will continue. And hopefully the final recording isn't a garbage pile. But anyway, I'll back up a couple of seconds because I cut them off and trying to figure out what's going on.
We'll just jump up and say, this is a brave space. Yay! And it just makes me so proud, right? Because I think people are starting to catch on. And so I think to address the systemic changes, you need to have more and more people. It needs to filter through that. This is going to be a brave space. We're going to have hard conversations.
Hard conversations. Yeah. Okay. You guys say my avatar is missing. Well, I see my avatar just fine on my side, so I have no idea what's going on. It might be a StreamYard thing. It might be a YouTube thing. If you can still hear me, that's the important part. If you can still hear the video, that's the important part. Because ultimately, this is just, in this case, just functionally a podcast anyway. So we can hear you just cutting in and out. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, well, I'll keep going, I guess. I have no way of telling what's going on.
I really love that phrase, brave space.
I know you love that phrase, brave space, because it sounds so catchy and uplifting, doesn't it?
I haven't heard that before, but I think that's a really good way to describe what you all are fostering, because it can be really uncomfortable to talk about some of these issues, especially like you all said in that setting when there are people of different power dynamics at play. So,
I know I keep asking, what conversations, what power dynamics, what are you talking about?
So I think that's really interesting and a really good way to frame it.
I'm sure you do.
So ACOM is committed, and COM deans have unanimously pledged to address systemic inequity and integrate health equity issues into the medical school curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
What lessons have you learned from this project that can help osteopathic medical schools collectively improve diversity in medical education?
Yes, how do we improve diversity in medical education, as was the title of this presentation to a certain extent and has not yet been detailed? Please do tell us now, more than halfway through the presentation.
First and foremost, we have to
have those hard conversations.
Collectively
have those hard conversations.
See that there is a problem.
Oh, okay. Okay. What is the problem? Describe the problem to us. If you obviously you can see the problem, so what's the problem?
Right. Yeah. This lack of diversity is a problem.
Okay. Lack of diversity. All right. I know you're not going to do so, but if you could, I wish you would define what you mean by a lack of diversity. What does a presence of diversity look like? And what does a lack of diversity look like?
And has been a problem.
Yes.
For a century now. And
a century now. Okay. Well, it should be pretty easy for you to say, here's the problem we are attempting to address in detail. Yes.
So I think that's the first thing is you just have to acknowledge that, while I may in my white self, I think, I go to work and, everything's fine and I don't see anything wrong.
Oh, your white self. Okay. Well, how does your white self compare to, I don't know, your whole self? I'd be curious to know, Yeah, you go to work, you don't see anything wrong. Oh, okay. Well, how were you fooled? Tell me how you were fooled.
So I have to open my ears.
And
listen to people who don't look like me, who have had different experiences.
Oh, you know what? I don't look like you. And I've had different experiences. But now I have to wonder, do I count in your eyes if my skin tone is quasi similar to your own? My white self, which apparently exists separate from who I am in your eyes, I guess.
And we all need to do that. And we need to remember too, that just because someone else's experience doesn't mirror mine makes them wrong.
Yes. Well, it depends on what we're talking about. It really does depend on specificity and context. But certainly, right off the bat, you don't necessarily want to be a bigot just because someone else has lived a different life than yours. Yes, this is true. But you're not going to tell us what you're talking about, are you?
Right. And that sounds, again, it sounds so simplistic, but the way our brains...
It does sound simplistic, yes. Whittling everybody down to the basis of race and then saying that somehow, as long as they look different than you on that very, very cursory level, they're worth listening to on that basis, first and foremost. Yeah, that does sound simplistic, doesn't it? It almost sounds freaking medieval at this stage of the game, shouldn't it?
Right. And that sounds, again, it sounds so simplistic, but the way our brains work, like we just sort of take our worldview and sort of lay it on everyone around us and just assume that how I believe is how they believe, et cetera. And
yeah, it's a terrible thing to do. It's kind of a wasteful thing to do, to sort of take your worldview about what matters about a person's significance in the room or in promoting diversity, something, I don't know, projecting some kind of assessment on a person on the basis of some arbitrary characteristic of their makeup, and then just sort of assuming to know the quality of their life, or then, sort of doing it to yourself and saying, well, because I look like this, I'm just moving through the world completely brainless, obviously, because I look like this. Yeah, that is, does seem counterproductive, doesn't it?
And so I think really just acknowledging that this is a problem, that we do need to be more intentional about diversifying not just our matriculating classes, but our faculty as well.
Oh, okay. Well, how do you diversify your faculty? Tell me what the process is by which you're going to diversify your faculty. I mean, obviously, you'd have to define first and foremost what is not a diverse faculty, and then you'd have to define what is a diverse faculty, and then tell us about the, transitionary mechanisms in between those two states, and how that aligns with, I don't know, federal law, constitutionality, or just basic principles of American life in the modern day. Just those things.
And staff and administration, right?
You can't expect that the people that this is going to affect, or those most impacted, right, are the ones that have to initiate the change. So for instance, we can't expect our students of color to start these hard conversations.
No. You can't expect anybody that looks a particular way to possess any kind of assertiveness. No, of course not. Of course you can't expect this particular demographic to have the wherewithal to do X, Y, Z, PDQ. But we don't want to make assumptions about anybody. We don't want to project a worldview onto anyone. No, we can't expect. We can only assume. Yeah, gosh. Those people just do not possess the capacity. We have to be the ones to take charge. They cannot be expected to. It is our responsibility to save them from the evils that we do, because they can't stand up for themselves. Oh, what a hero are we?
I think what I've learned is it's been really important to realize we have to be a voice too, and an ally as well. And we can't just sit back and watch it and say, oh, well, my day's been great. We have to realize that, there are things presented in the classroom that can be better for them, for all students. Or
no, not all students. No, you weren't talking about all students. For them. Those, they, them. Uh-huh.
Some of the conversations we have can be better.
Oh, but can they be hard?
The words we use can be better.
Yeah. What words? What words could be better? Just curious.
So I think that's another thing we've learned from this.
Yeah, thank you. I know that'll be helpful for the other colleges of osteopathic medicine as they work too.
Yes. Making assumptions about people on the basis of their skin color and their capacity to stand up for themselves, speak, express themselves, try to work for whatever change they want in the world. Yes. That is something that other schools should adopt insofar as their perspective. Yes, it's very, very progressive.
Make some improvements as well.
Mm-hmm.
So UIW SOM is the only osteopathic medical school that was selected for this project.
Thank goodness there's only one.
How has that shaped your experience, and has it influenced the cohort as a whole?
I do think just the focus on mind, body, spirit, and I think the longer we work in this cohort, the more opportunity we'll have to just introduce mind, body, spirit as a foundation for what we're doing.
Okay, I know absolutely zippo about osteopathic medicine. Okay, I don't know its efficacy. I don't know its history. I don't know anything else. But when I have somebody talking to me about the mind, body, spirit, it sounds far less secular than I would think a medical school should be. Okay, that's just my initial impression. I don't know. But this lady, as an ambassador for, her field of study, that's what it makes me think. Just putting that out there.
So I look forward to those conversations.
Those hard conversations.
It's really on our shoulders to do this right, or to at least put the best effort in. How I tell my students, it's, be 100% present and 100% on board. And I think that we really need to do that because others are looking at us, right? And so even if we fail in some areas, at least we can say we did our due diligence and we tried.
You have said zero about nothing just now. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not even sure you know what you're talking about. It's just words. What are your goals? How do you measure success? When this began, where were you and where are you now? And how has that change been measured as a success or as progress towards your goal? These shouldn't be very complicated concepts for you to be able to relay after, if I'm understanding things correctly, you were given money, a grant of some kind, in order to do this. But, heaven forfend.
And so I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of leadership responsibility. And so it's kind of made this whole experience just more serious in a way, right? Like, I mean, we're the only ones, so no pressure, but
only ones to what? What are I've said this before, and I will probably say it every time it occurs in the future. I look at these types of things. I look at these panel discussions. I look at different collections of experts or educators or professionals on topics that sound familiar to me, on the off chance that because I'm listening to someone different in a different sphere of the world or from a different perspective, that maybe, just maybe, I'll learn something new at the very least. Or I'll be presented with a different perspective or a different angle on a topic I think I already have some understanding about. Or, and this is sort of the apex hope I always have when I come into these things, that maybe I'll have my mind changed on something. Not necessarily that I'll be just 180 convinced of whatever they have to say, but on some aspect, I'll have my mind changed on what I thought about something or how I looked at something. Maybe it's possible. I always hold out hope. But time and time and time again, no matter who I'm listening to, no matter what area of the world they're coming from, when they're confronted with direct questions and they talk about these specific goals they have, do we ever get specifics? Do we ever get a description of what they actually have done or are doing on the ground, step by step? An active example. Do we? No. Not once. Well, okay. I'm being hyperbolic. I can't say not once, never. But 90% of the time, do we ever? I mean, those of you that have joined me on this, you know I'm a broken record. And I admit I'm a broken record on these things because these are the expectations I go into these things with every time. I don't slack on that. That's why I sound so disappointed when we don't get those kind of details, because I'm hoping beyond hope. And maybe we'll get some answers. But
Right. Well, congratulations, though, on being the only osteopathic medical school. I think that's a huge honor. And it's really exciting for the osteopathic community to have a voice in this project. So your leadership is definitely appreciated, and I think will be a good model for everybody.
What makes the osteopathic school here so special? What do they bring to the table of this process, of this project, that no one else does? I mean, what, aside from their area of study or expertise, what?
So for our final question, how do you think the Art in MedEd project will impact UIW-SOM's broader diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts?
I can't wait for the answer to this one. It'll probably be more hard conversations. And what the heck? Thank you, Keeverdam. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Happy early Valentine's Day, Scrubs. Aw, Keeverdam, thank you so much. Oh, it's so nice of you. I appreciate it. And happy Valentine's Day to you too. That is tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah. This is how terrible I am. I'm always terrible at Valentine's Day. But thank you. That's very generous. As always, I will do my best to pay this forward in some way, shape, or form for your generosity. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Keeverdam. Okay, so we're going to hear about the. Sorry, I got to make sure I remember where we are.
So your leadership is definitely appreciated, and I think will be a good model for everybody.
Okay.
So for our final question, how do you think the Art in MedEd project will impact UIW-SOM's broader diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts?
Well, first I'd have to know what their current or preset diversity and inclusion efforts were to have any idea of how this is going to enhance it. or what the success of their previous efforts were. I know I'm not going to get those answers, but that's, in my mind, that's what I need to be able to have any understanding of whatever answers we're going to receive.
Well, I mean, for sure, above all, I mean, we hope to improve it, right?
Yeah, okay, you hope to improve it, right? Okay, well, how is it deficient? Or how would you be improving it?
We hope to identify concrete areas where we can do better. And
like, what, you haven't already? You haven't identified concrete areas in which you can do better? You can't name one? So you're still figuring that out? Okay.
And, also motivate others to get others on board.
With what? If you can't even tell us what your concrete areas of improvement are, how are they going to get on board? Like, on board with what?
We just really want to make it more equitable and more inclusive.
What does that mean?
And there's been areas that we've identified,
like,
already, and these are long conversations, right?
Are they hard conversations too?
It's a slow process, but I think that at least over these next 3 years, we're going to have more and more conversations. I think we'll get quicker about having them and making decisions.
You have said this. I got to give her credit. This lady has an amazing ability to speak very clearly and say nothing.
And then we hope that through this, we're going to attract more students of color and diversity.
Oh, is that your goal? Is that how you measure success? Because this entire time I've been waiting for you to give me some idea of how it is that you're what's your metric for having succeeded? Yeah, all right.
In the physician workforce, to our school as well, we're already very diverse, but I think
very diverse, but not diverse enough. Let's see. And somebody's asking in the chat, like, what happened to my avatar? I don't know. Apparently my avatar disappeared. I can still see it on my end in the control booth or whatever of the stream. Nothing looks off key. So I have no idea. It must be some kind of disconnect with StreamYard or some kind of YouTube thing. If you can hear me, that's the important part, I guess.
We'll just attract more because we do have this program and we're trying and making active efforts to do this.
Do what? I'm sorry. I know I'm pausing again. I just want to apologize first and foremost on the repetition I put out there almost nearly every stream now. Asking why, asking what, asking how, complaining about the lack of specificity. I mean, I know I'm a broken record. I don't want to be a broken record. But that's just where my mind is as I watch these things. If I'm going to put myself through the effort of watching these things, I'd like to come away from them with at least something I didn't have before I started. It's not just masochism. I'm not just doing this because I like the torture. I am attempting, bit by bit, to understand the other side of an argument or a presentation, even if I don't agree with it. If I'm going to disagree with something, at least I can try to have a knowledgeable disagreement and not just wave it off. But these guys never seem to give me much of anything to work with. Or what they are giving me is all there is. And I've slowly come to the conclusion, the more I listen to these things, there really is nothing underneath the rhetoric. So maybe that's the takeaway.
Absolutely. And I think that takes us back to really like listening well. And I hope that one of the outcomes that we get is that everyone on our campus understands what listening well means.
What does listening well mean? Could you tell us, something? What in your opinion, what does listening well mean?
And understands cultural humility, right? Like
cultural humility. Okay. I've heard of cultural competency, right? Cultural humility. All right, this might be new for me. What is cultural humility?
Like not laying your own culture over everyone else, not thinking that your culture is the only way of doing things, the best way of doing things.
So you're talking about like a cultural supremacist. Okay. Huh. All right. Well, I'd be curious to know from our speaker on the right whether or not she agrees with that, given that she's previously told us that we can't expect certain things from certain people who look a certain way. Is that an aspect of her culture overtaking her entire worldview? I don't know what her culture is, but that sounds like it's an aspect of it. Questions to ponder.
And I also hope that we grow awareness enough in this area that faculty will stop using potentially harmful and insulting images and words in the classroom.
Such as?
And that we will be able to bring diversity to things like images of conditions. What's that look like on darker skin? And we've had faculty say, oh, I don't know, I never thought about it.
What does that look like on darker skin? What does what look like on darker skin? Conditions? Okay, I would love to hear what that has to do with anything. Maybe it does. I don't know what she's talking about.
Right. Like, so let's learn how to listen. And if someone brings something, a student brings something to you, let's learn how to not get defensive. Like,
what if it's wrong? What if it's an accusation without substance? What if whatever it is just incorrect? Not get defensive about what? What are we talking about? What are you talking about? What happened to you? Could you relay to us a personal anecdote where you had to face a hard conversation?
Let's learn how to listen without pushing back.
Listen without pushing back. Well, okay. I mean, letting someone finish their sentence or statement before responding, I suppose I can agree with that for the most part. But what are you talking about? Why can't you tell us an instance where this occurred? Why can't you give us an example? Why does everything have to be so mysterious and nebulous?
And learn from that person, right? We can all learn something from everyone.
Yes, I agree. That's why I'm listening to you. It's just that I effectively have to build whatever lesson I'm taking from this because you're giving me very, 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 very little to work with.
Yeah, I think that's a super important point as well.
What point? Okay, Russ did this in the last one, and here we are again. That's an important point. That's a great point. There was no point. There was nothing there. She would have to give us something to evaluate for there to be a point we could then assess for ourselves. She didn't say anything.
As medical educators, I mean, the work I feel like it's important for everybody, but in the medical education sphere, it just seems even more important to get this right.
Get what right? What are we supposed to get right? What are we getting wrong that needs to be righted?
For patients and, our future physicians, we need to improve the health system. So
improve the health? Good Lord, how broad a topic is that? What are you talking about? How does this improve the health system? I have heard nothing about how any of this is either meant to or is improving the health system.
I salute you all for taking up this really important work, and I know it's going to be difficult and
difficult and hard
and long and
difficult. Oh well, I mean, I guess you couldn't say hard and long. That would have some implications.
Challenging, but I look forward to connecting with you potentially further along the project and sharing any updates you have. It's really exciting to see that you've already made some good progress and had some of those hard conversations.
No, hard conversations!
And those are even starting to get easier. So that's great. That's really good to hear. So thank you both again. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak about your work and the Art in Med-Ed project. It's super important again, and I know it'll have a really transformational impact. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Yay! Okay, well, there you go. At least I think maybe not the first foray, but one of the most recent, I should say. It's been a long time. Into medical education. I've done a couple of videos in the past on medicine and doctors and diversity in medicine. I recall from a long time ago, one that I did where two ladies were talking about diversity initiatives in medical education, but that was years ago now. I'd have to find that one. Maybe I'll try to link it to the end of this one for reference. But anyway, there you go. 2 or perhaps 3. I can't remember all the credentials our moderator / interviewer gave, but 3 individuals, 3 professionals, 3 experts in their various fields, I guess, when asked direct questions about what they're doing to diversify or to improve the medical system in the terms of DEI and anti-racism, never at any point defining anti-racism or specifying what any of what they're talking about has to do with anti-racism or how it is curing racism or what diversity is or what's being achieved. The closest we ever got was probably the most racist kind of things you'd want to hear from someone, not want to hear, but could expect to hear from someone. Those people can't be expected to, etc. And those based on race. That was something. That was something else. Very telling. The most telling part of this entire deal. But that's all I have, if I'm still actually visible to you, and I don't know if I am. But even if I'm not, if you can hear me, that is the point. I'll take a minute or here to pull up some of your comments and or questions, and then we'll wrap this up so that everybody can get into the important business of getting their nachos ready for the Super Bowl or for the Super Bowl advertisements, whichever you find more significant. Bridget, they cannot define the terms because once they define the terms or give examples, people realize that these issues aren't as grand as these people make them out to be. That's always the suspicion, isn't it? You know, that the emperor has no clothes on these things, that the rhetoric is just that. Or again, if they actually had to give us details on what they mean, it would sound as bad as that one moment where our speaker on the top right there actually said what she meant. That's my suspicion. Ryan R., this stuff gets scary when we start inserting it into industries like health because it clearly results in lower quality educational output, which means higher likelihood of patient death and despair. I mean, that's the fear. The fear is that in order to not hurt someone's feelings, you're not going to correct them when they're wrong. And that might, you know, not be a big deal when you're talking, I don't know, language arts or something, or an art class or something. But when it comes, like you say, when it comes to medicine, either something works or it doesn't. Something is detrimental to someone or it isn't. Or there are circumstances or other, avenues to pursue that may or may not happen because you don't want to say something that you think someone else might find offensive. Now, I don't even know what that is, but listening to our teachers here, and I'm going to call them teachers in the lack of a better word, tell us that basically their entire purpose is to figure out how many eggshells they can construct to dance around when interacting with medical students. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a healthy way to go about it. Also, just before I forget, because I should have done this earlier, if you'll not avert your gaze, if you will put your gaze, my vocabulary fails me at the moment, to the top of the chat box. Keeverdam has helpfully put up the links to the GoFundMes for Shady Grin and his kitten, and 2 friends of the show who either have friends themselves or who are themselves in need of some assistance. If you have a couple of extra bucks to spare, please consider taking a look at those and donating if you are able. Thank you so much. Let's see. Anything else? Frank Hubbard IV. They are worse than politicians when explaining what their agenda is. Worse? I guess it all depends on your sense of proportionality. I think they are right up there with a lot of what I've heard politicians say when they start describing what it is that they do or how they intend to do it or what their goals are. You know, don't want to commit to anything on the off chance you might not make it. But yeah, but like it was said, in this realm specifically, medical education, do you really want to cut corners Do you really want to play, whose feelings are hurt first? Do you really want to encourage brave spaces? And not knowing what it is they're talking about, not knowing what a hard conversation looks like or what it entails or what it involves, I have no idea what impact, if any, it could possibly have on medical education, because I don't even know for sure that it's about medicine to begin with. So, yeah, there you go. And Lexi Mad says, bingo cards ready for woke Super Bowl adverts. Oh, that is the other thing too. I mean, this, if there's one major cultural bellwether as to where the advertising, marketing, and entertainment world think people are at any particular point in time, it will be Super Bowl ads. Who's going to be brave and make some kind of amazing statement or commitment to this, that, or the other? What joke is going to be put into an advertisement that is an attempt to play to the more sensitive among us, and so on. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, and they'll be written in time and in stone on the internet forever until the EMP hits. But anyway, everyone, there you go. Not a very informative journey into medical education and the combination thereof of anti-racism. I was honestly hoping for something more, as I do each time, but in the absence of something, that is something in and of itself, I suppose, especially if it becomes a pattern. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Learn how to listen more effectively. And maybe you too can be anti-racist, I guess. But either way, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everyone who donated, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity, either to myself or to the GoFundMes in the links above. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Hope you all have a good rest of your Sunday. Hope your preferred Super Bowl team wins, or if they don't, well, I hope you at least enjoy the game if you're going to watch it. I hope you all have a lovely Valentine's Day, whether you have someone or you don't. At least appreciate the fact that there's love in the world, as long as you're willing to find it, and as long as you're willing to extend the possibility that someone is capable of doing it, even if they don't happen to look like you. But hey, it's just one can only hope for so much. Hope you all have a good rest of your Sunday. Hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one, even if you can't see my avatar. Take care. Bye-bye.